very hearty welcome to all our eminent delegates and participants. I request you to kindly take your seats. It's a pleasure to be welcoming all of you on behalf of the organizers IWTMA to the Wind Energy India Conference 2023. We are going to be starting shortly with the inaugural session. We first have the inauguration of the exhibition, which is happening outside, and post that our distinguished guests of the inaugural session are going to be gracing the hall, and then we are going to be good to be starting with this first session of the day. Meanwhile, just requesting you all to kindly be seated. Please also have your mobile phones on the silent mode or on the meeting mode, please. We are really delighted to have very eminent guest speakers and the delegates, participants across the huge value chain of the energy sector, of the renewable energy sector, more importantly, joining us in this 2 days of discussions and deliberations. This conference, ladies and gentlemen, has been further supported by the Ministry of Power, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, Niti Aayog, and by the government of Tamil Nadu. This is the 5th International Trade Fair and Conference which we are starting today. Would like to apprise our August gathering that yesterday we had a small ceremony which was by IWTMA as it completed its 25 years of establishment. It's come a long way in its contribution towards the growth of the wind sector, and that is where we had the celebrations. We also had the coffee table book, which was released titled Wind Beneath the Wings, thanking and expressing our gratitude to all the people who have been in the thick and thin of this tremendous and very accomplishing journey of IWTMA. And we also had the recognition extended in to the veterans, to the partners, to the supporters, to the well-wishers of IWTMA. That was the event which happened yesterday. So ladies and gentlemen, shortly joining us as our chief guest is His Excellency Freddie Swan, the Honorable Ambassador of Denmark in India. We are also going to be joined by Mr. Hansraj Verma, the Chairman and Managing Director of TIC and TEDA, Mr. Rajesh Lakhoni, the Chairman and Managing Director of the Tamil Nadu Generation Distribution Corporation Limited. And from the Government of India, we have Joint Secretary MNRE, Mr. Dinesh Jagdale. They have just now inaugurated the exhibition. In the exhibition, we have more than 200, in fact 210 exhibitors who are showcasing the state-of-the-art technology, products, services at display from the OEMs, from IPPs, the component manufacturers, industrial equipment manufacturers, from the lubricant manufacturers and suppliers, gearboxes manufacturers. We have the leaders of RE who are exhibiting, Suzlon Energy Limited, Envision Energy, Nordex, Sani Renewable Energy, Senvion, Renew Inox Wind, LM Wind Power, NGC Transmission, also Flender Drives, ZF Wind Power, TPI Composite, Hein Hydraulics. We have MTAN Group, Jindal Steel and Power, UL Solutions, Aditya Birla Advanced Materials, Next HS Renewables, also displayed by Ever Renewable, Shell, Castrol, Indian Oil Corporation Limited, and many more who are exhibiting there. In these 2 days, as we take these discussions, we would also like to thank our country partner, United Kingdom, and our green strategic partner, Denmark. We also have a huge representation from the wind-rich states of India, from Tamil Nadu, from Maharashtra, from Gujarat, from Andhra Pradesh, from Telangana, from Rajasthan, Karnataka. We also, as we take these discussions, there are also going to be roundtables which are going to be held, looking into building more collaborations and partnerships with the partner countries and among the states. And in these 2 days, we have 8 technical sessions flagged on the either end with the inaugural session and the valedictory session. We also going to be having technology presentations. So there are 5 technology presentations in these 2 days. There is a special fire chat session which we are going to be having today, wherein we have Dr. Ajay Mathur, the Director General of the International Solar Alliance. He's going to be in conversation. Mr. Hemant Lemai, that's going to be the last session of the day. We should be, if we are good at time, we are going to be closing by 6 o'clock or max 6:15 today. But then the exhibition continues. You are requested to kindly pay a visit in the exhibition area. And tomorrow morning we are going to be starting at 10:30, taking our 4 more technical sessions and then going to be closing the day by 5:30. So may I request all of you to kindly take your seats as our distinguished guest of the inaugural session join us, our Honorable Chief Guest, His Excellency Freddy Swan, the Honorable Ambassador of Denmark to India, our distinguished guest of honor, Mr. Hansraj Verma, the Chairman and Managing Director of TIC and TADA. We have Mr. Rajesh Lakhoni, the Chairman and Managing Director of the Tamil Nadu Generation and Distribution Corporation Limited. And from the Government of India, we have Mr. Dinesh Jagdale, the Joint Secretary, MNRE, Government of India. Please, ladies and gentlemen, join us in extending a very hearty welcome to them as they join us in this inaugural session. May I request all the people who are entering, please be seated at the earliest possible so that we can start with our inaugural session. People at the back and the people who are still moving in, may I request you to please be seated at the earliest possible. We solicit your support in starting the session on time. So I think we are good to start. Namaskar, Vanakkam, and a very happy morning to all present in this August gathering. Excellencies, our very distinguished and esteemed guest speakers, all the delegates, participants, the enthusiasts of sustainable energy. It's a great pleasure to be welcoming all of you on behalf of IWTMA to the inaugural session of the 5th International Trade Fair and Conference to the Wind Energy India 2023, in which, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be very deeply exploring one of the most transformative and promising sources of renewable energy, the wind energy, which definitely has the power and the potential to accelerate the pace of India's energy transition and decarbonization target, as also help India achieve its energy security in a much self-reliant manner as India heads for extensive electrification of its energy systems, and also that is where the wind brings in a great promise. India, ladies and gentlemen, is aiming at a growth with ecology and economy going hand in hand, taking a very pro-people and a pro-planet approach, and that is where we are not just talking about energy security, but also about climate security, and wind brings in that promise. So in these 2 days, with our energy leaders and experts, we are going to be addressing these headwinds, pushing these tailwinds so that the wind sector can achieve its target of 140 gigawatts by 2030 of the overall 500 gigawatts as outlined by the Honorable Prime Minister in the Panch Amrits. We are going to be taking these discussions in these 2 days on the policies and the regulatory environment, on the innovations, technologies and research and development, on manufacturing and supply chain, on land reforms, on greater collaborations and partnerships with the other countries, looking into the offshore potential and other key drivers, which is going to be helping build a more robust and a supportive ecosystem to take us to our destination, to take us to our goals. And we are very happy to be in this state, which is going very strong with wind, flying high with wind, second largest in terms of the installed capacity, and having also the largest onshore wind farm here. So as we take this deep dive into the rich tapestry of this conference, we would like to mark the auspicious inauguration as per the Indian traditions and customs. And I would like to request our distinguished guest to please light the ceremonial lamp. But before that, I would like to invite the organizers, the torchbearers of this conference, requesting Mr. D.V. Giri, the Secretary General of IWTMA, inviting Mr. S.P. Murli, the General Manager ZF and the EC member IWTMA, Mr. Pradeep Devaya, the Chairman and CEO of PDA Ventures Private Limited. And now inviting our distinguished guest. May I request you all to please step forward towards the lamp. Mr. Dinesh Jagdale, Mr. Rajesh Lakhoni, Mr. Hansraj Verma, and His Excellency Freddie Swan. Yeah, Mr. Girish Dante. So the auspicious beginning to our conference, and just now we have also had the inauguration of the exhibition. More than 210 exhibitors exhibiting in the exhibition. Thank you, and may I request our distinguished speakers of the inaugural session to please grace the dais. So requesting and inviting all our distinguished dignitaries to please join us here on the dais.
Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
Very well, sir. How are you? And in the true spirit of Atithi Devo Bhava, we would also like to welcome our guests by presenting them the shawl and a memento. I would like to request Mr. Giri, the Secretary General IWTMA, to please felicitate first our distinguished chief guest, His Excellency Freddy Swan, the Honorable Ambassador of Denmark to India. May I request Mr. Giri also to welcome Mr. Hansraj Verma. So that's a shawl and a memento. Thank you. Now to Mr. Hansraj Verma. May I now request Mr. S.P. Murli to kindly welcome Mr. Dinesh Jagdale. And we are also going to be shortly joined by Mr. Rajesh Lakhoni. So we open the dialogue, and I would like to request Mr. D.V. Giri, the Secretary General of IWTMA, for his words of welcome.
Kalai Vanakkam, Namaskar. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of IWTMA and PDA Trade Ventures, we welcome all of you to the 5th edition of the Windergy 2023 at Chennai. It's an honor and privilege to have with us His Excellency Freddy Swan, Danish Ambassador to India, Mr. Hansraj Verma, Chairman and Managing Director of TIC and TEDA, Mr. Dinesh Jagdale, Joint Secretary MNRE, and will be shortly be joined by Mr. Rajesh Lakhoni, CMD TANGEDCO. This 5th edition of Windergy is by the industry and for the industry. And this is not just a venture of IWTMA and PDA Trade Ventures. It is also supported as an industry body from associations such as B.S.Bhalla and IWPA. Without their support, who are our customers, we wouldn't be there as OEMs and component manufacturers. We also thank MNRE for their unstinting support to bring us close to 500 gigawatts by 2030. And I thank Secretary MNRE, Honorable Minister, and Jagdale Saab for the trajectory they have created for installing at least 50 gigawatts by 2030 with an auction mechanism through 4 intermediaries, SECI and NTPC and NHPC and SJVN, to be completed by 2028, and the projects will be up and running by 2030. I'm sure in 2030, we'll be celebrating a lot more than what we are doing today, because we would have crossed the 100 gigawatt mark. It's a matter of pride that we as IWTMA have moved with the concept of Make in India or Atmanirbhar Bharata much before this was being thought of, which our Honorable Prime Minister is driving. I would say today, IWTMA and the component manufacturers, who are both small, medium, and large industries, we are almost about 70 to 80% localized. And I'm also happy to say, it's documented, that the Indian turbines manufactured in the country are perhaps one of the lowest cost in the world, which means that with this quality and with the engineering skills we have in India, we not only cater to the domestic demand, but we are able to export competitively to different geographies of the world. At this point of time, I would like to say that all of us are here for wind. Wind is just not a business. Wind is not just another source of power. I think it's now time for us to look at issues of climate change and global warming, sustainability, life as it was put up in the G20. And I'm reminded with my friend Ramesh Kaimal, who said once, the late M.S. Swaminathan created green revolution for agriculture. And then we had Mr. Kurian in Gujarat, who developed white revolution on milk. Today, gentlemen, all of us, whoever is here and whoever is sitting in factories, in wind farms, in component manufacturing, all of us are creating and writing green revolution too. I would like to have a round of applause for this, please. Standing here and with our dignitaries, no welcome speech goes without a wish list. I would say that the industry has been making a representation for PLI support. I'm sure Jagdale Sahib is listening to this. And so it's also our secretary, Mr. Bhalla, who was supposed to be here today, but then he's not able to come because of urgent business in Delhi. We request PLI, certainly for offshore. And then we also think that the fast pace in which we are moving the size of turbines, the turbines which used to stay for 2-3 years at a stretch, is now so fast. It's like a movie. It's moving so rapidly that we require support of the government to bring in component in the sector for the changing models. Standing here, I'm not requesting for PLI for OEMs. We request PLI for component manufacturers. And I'm happy to say that we have more than 4,000 component manufacturers, and many are from the small scale sector. If Honorable Prime Minister is today talking and laying emphasis on startups and on MSME industry, sir, I think this is the time for us to act. I'm also happy that the Gujarat government has recently given a proposal of procuring wind power through FIT for MSME projects below 25 megawatts. In fact, Government of India, under the leadership of Mr. Jagdale and Honorable Secretary, had written letters to all the wind states to encourage procurement of wind for small-scale industries and projects below 25 megawatts. I hope this will happen. Because let's not forget, today, while I thank my IPP friends who are here, who have built almost 20-25 gigawatts of wind power in the country, the first 20 gigawatts was built by small investors who put up 1 machine and 2 machines. And also sitting in Tamil Nadu, I'm sure that a lot of people from Tamil Nadu here, if you go to Coimbatore, Tirupur, Dindigul, Madurai, Tirunelveli, all of them with a beautiful policy of Government of Tamil Nadu on captive generation were able to foolproof their power costs. And today there are factories which are working with almost zero power. So let's not set MSME aside, let's work towards that. The industry is today aware of the requirement of discoms, the C&I segment, and also providing 24/7 power to the electrolyzer industry, because we are not only now into power generation, but we are now getting into a product development of working for green hydrogen through electrolyzer industry. I'm sure we have been making representations to MNRE that in the 50 gigawatt basket and also the larger basket of solar, it's time we have a specific trajectory for wind solar hybrid with or without storage where we can produce 24/7 or RTC power. We have one of our industrial leaders, Renewable, who has already demonstrated RTC, and by that, we would be competing with all other forms of fuel where we are going to be almost firm power. And in this, whether it is battery storage or whether it is pump storage, I'm sure there are enough technologies for us to see as to how we can leapfrog. There is also a requirement for an investor-friendly policy on repowering. We have almost about 3.5 to 4 gigawatts of old wind turbines occupying the best of place in Tamil Nadu. There are social and legal issues. One of the possible reasons, solutions could be through cooperative farming. I also request the governments of Tamil Nadu, Rajasthan, Andhra, Gujarat to see as to how the state-owned wind farms, which are having old turbines, can be used as a pilot model or as a demonstration so that we can understand and we can see as to how we can learn from it. Though it's not part of my speech, which I have written down here, I'm very happy to say that with Mr. Hansraj Verma, who's here, IWTMA has signed a MOU with the Tamil Nadu Industrial Investment Corporation. Tamil Nadu Industrial Investment Corporation is primarily engaged in financing small and medium sector. And in our MOU, and I think by the clear advice given by Mr. Hansraj Verma, he said, Giri, let's look at financing green projects. Who will be able to make green products? Can we label them as green products? And this reminds me that way back in Denmark, supported by Vestas, we had something called WindMade. I do not know whether some of you remember. I can see Ramesh Kaimal acknowledging it. So if we are able to bring label of green products in Tamil Nadu, Verma sir, please lead us to it. We are also excited on the public notice and plans of Government of India for the first offshore and the first tender to be released this financial year. And I'm happy here, both Denmark and UK, or shall I loosely say neck on neck, to see as to how the projects will actually happen. And in 2030, when we celebrate 100 gigawatts plus, I hope and pray to the Almighty that the first offshore wind turbine in the coast of Tamil Nadu is actually generating power. I once again thank my honored guests to take part in this 3-day event of knowledge sharing, showcase products and services at the Expo, network, and with a clear goal to create a clean, green India. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, sir, for setting the tone and the context of this conference. And ladies and gentlemen, as India marches ahead to become the third largest economy in the world, going ahead with this extensive electrification and digitalization, that is where the demand for the energy is going to be increasing, and that is where the renewable energy and especially the wind energy brings in the promise of a clean green growth. So we now invite the Government of India's perspective and their guidance to the industry. I would like to invite our Joint Secretary, MNRE, who at the helm of MNRE is shaping the renewable energy landscape, overseeing the formulation of very crucial policies, and then spearheading initiatives which are conducive for the industry to transform, reform, and perform, and deliver to the vision of the government and to the national targets. I invite Mr. Dinesh Jagdale, Joint Secretary MNRE, for his address.
Thank you. A very warm good morning to you all. His Excellency, Honorable Ambassador, a good friend of India, always a pleasant personality to meet, greet, and cherish the Indo-Danish partnership that we have been working on. Sri Hans Raj Verma sir, dignitaries on the dais, the industry leaders, my colleagues from the state government, my colleagues from the central government, Nive and others. It's a pleasure to be amongst you today, and let me first of all congratulate IWTMA on their Silver Jubilee celebrations they had, and obviously this 5th edition of this Windenergy 2023. So first of all, let me convey the message from Secretary Sir that he was almost yesterday at 5 o'clock, he had to reschedule and cancel his trip to this event. Obviously, he was looking forward to come here and be amongst you to cherish this 5th edition and also be a part of the IWTMA celebrations, but some extreme urgencies, so he couldn't come. But his blessings to this industry are there, and we all at MNRE, as Mr. Giri said, are working in collaboration with the industry to take this wind energy journey forward. So there are a few points which obviously I will try to place before you, and also some of the expectations that Mr. Giri mentioned. Let us deliberate over the next couple of days, but this point of expectations are there. And over the last couple of years, the industry and the government both are meeting each other and trying to discuss the way forward in terms of bringing the glory of wind, which we can see, which has actually led the green revolution in India for the last 30, 40 years. We have seen some declining trend from the last 4 to 5 years, but that trend was a temporary. We have seen for the last quarter, which for the last financial year, as well as during the first half of this year, things have been picking up. What is seen is the kind of energy transformation that India requires. And in that context, when we look at what would be the contribution of wind, it's no-brainer that the people sitting here can understand that as we look forward for our energy transition agenda of 2030 and beyond up to 2070, whether it's onshore wind or offshore wind, wind as a technology resource would play a very critical role. The endeavor of the government is to move towards more and more cleaner energy so that the penetration of the addition on energy is more in terms of the renewable energy capacities. And in that context, what is being looked at is to provide a firmness to the intermittent resource that we have. And therefore, wind predominantly becomes more critical. Obviously, there are other technologies which play an important role in bringing this firmness to what we want. Therefore, whether it's solar or wind, both complement each other. We know it. It's not a new thing for us to dwell upon. But what we have seen is the new kind of business models that are coming in. The state governments are looking at load following generation patterns. And in that context, wind plays an important role. If you look at what MNRE has done over the last 5 to 6 years in terms of bringing the energy transition, it has more, the policies have been suited to the needs of the consumer, the needs of the citizens of India. And therefore, we always term it as the citizen-centric energy transition. To name a few, I'm trying to bring in the context where we are trying to reach is, whether it's the decentralized RE through solar, whether it's the KUSUM for pumping through solar, whether it's the creation of the RE parks for taking care of the land requirements, plus the green hydrogen mission, which has a substantial outlay. Now, all these are looking forward, decarbonizing the electricity, decarbonizing the industry. And therefore, In all this context, the MNRE, the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, has played a very important role. This has all happened with your support, with your suggestions and the deliberations that we all had. When we were doing this, I think international collaboration has played a key role. While the formation of International Solar Alliance, the government has taken steps in reaching out to the nations, reaching out, bringing them on one platform, and really looking forward to collaborate with and fulfill the needs of those countries who actually require energy access and beyond. For renewable energy partnerships, Mr. Giri mentioned 2 countries, but we have a very strong partnership with Denmark, we have a very strong partnership with UK, we are looking at US, we are looking at Spain, and all these collaborations are really taking us forward in terms of the investments that India requires, in the kind of handholding in terms of the niche areas that are required to be in India. Especially the Center of Excellence for Renewable Energy, which was jointly formed between India and Denmark, played a very critical role in bringing the offshore industry close to execution. The marine special planning reports, the port studies, the evacuation studies, and therefore international collaboration plays a very important role, and we value that. And we will take this journey forward along with our all partners. Our wind, especially when we come back to the wind sector, if you look at what is today's situation, well, the 50 gigawatt trajectory is out, 10 gigawatt minimum from wind. If you look at the first half of this financial year, bids of almost more than 15, 16 gigawatts, and these are cumulative RE bids are already being released, and by December you will see another 15, 16 gigawatts of bids that will come out. Now when we analyze this, and when we say what is needed to fulfill or get going into these bids, the highest component that would be required for these bids to play on ground or to get implemented on ground is wind energy. Wind itself is going to get a huge requirement here on, whether it's plain vanilla wind bids or whether it's the RTC, whether it's the hybrid, whether it's the load following. So my appeal to the industry partners here is, let us forget those 4 or 5 years which were probably not so good. Let us now get all the energies back into the system. Let us rebuild the production capacities that we have. We have around 15, 16 gigawatts of annual manufacturing capacity. And I'm very confident that all the turbine manufacturers will have to utilize this to their fullest extent very soon. So let us be competitive. Let us produce good quality turbines. And I need to also mention this. Mr. Giri just mentioned that the kind of fastness that this industry has been brought in terms of the models that are being introduced, the quest for higher and larger is getting introduced, or it's the need of the hour to maximize efficiencies. But one should be very critical in ensuring that sufficient time is given for validating, for testing, on-ground testing, so that the robustness with which we created this 40 years of growth of wind shouldn't have a bad name in future. There are certain very disturbing news that we could read across, and I'm not referring to India, but there were certain disturbing news across few of the countries in terms of failures. And therefore, as a strong community sitting here, as a very strong OEM base which we have, very strong resource, intellectual skillful people that we have, we should ensure that sufficient validation is given, is taken. We have our National Institute of Wind Energy to support the kind of ecosystem that we require. And at MNRE, we will further strive to build the test centers, create testing centers, create skills, impart training, capacity building, so that when we are talking of jobs, we also will like to ensure that the youth that is graduated or is getting into a technical mode will be equipped to handle wind, will be equipped to handle large capacity of wind turbines. So please ensure that the quality is taken care. In terms of what is needed for growth, as I mentioned, I have gone through those school of thoughts which first of all tell us that we need scale. And if you look at, the scale is evident, the scale is going to come in further. So scale, volume, and we all believe that if volumes are there, competition will enable competitiveness in the terms of the pricing, good market for the OEMs, and I see and very happy to, I just visited 15 minutes of the journey around the stalls, but very happy to see the kind of response that the trade fair has got today in terms of the people that are coming to India. And I assure you, and I'm very confident that the state-center relationship, whether it's Tamil Nadu's or whether it's any other state, we have a very strong ecosystem that will support you, that will handhold you in case of any support, any problems. There are ecosystems that are built to support you on ground. But I can see that the volume is going to come up further than today. So please let us stick to that agenda that we have and create that ecosystem that we manufacture components of quality components in India and support the Indian wind industry. While the new age turbines are coming up, yes, I see when we look at the very robust practice of MNRE of RLMM, it has succeeded in terms of giving the industry, giving to the consumer, giving to the developer a robust product. And in that context, we see, while we are looking at new models, we are seeing the capacities are going up. While the average installation of turbines have gone up from 1.5 or for the last, probably into 15, 16, it was around that range. But when I looked at the last year, it was close to around 2.5 megawatt turbines. And it is going further when we look at the developers' feedback on what is the size of the capacity or the capacity of turbines they are installing. They are looking at 3+ now. And we are looking at turbines that are catering to such capacities. It's good. It's good in terms of effective usage, but it also requires a sense of responsibility to see that we built those sustainably and it is maintained and operated in a very sustainable fashion. Our quest towards 500 gigawatt of non-fossil will see a large capacity of wind. We'll see beyond 2030 when we go towards our net zero, it will further escalate, it will further increase. So the investment community who is looking at India as the destination, I appeal to you, you are in good hands. Not only onshore, but I see, as you must have seen, the public notice related to offshore, the strategy paper. We are very soon, I think you will be able to launch into the offshores, both the Arabian Sea, the Indian Ocean, and will create efficient offshore ecosystem as well. Beyond 2030, primarily it will further accelerate, and the 37 gigawatt of bidding trajectory that we have already announced, we will start commissioning capacities coming, maximum capacities coming beyond 2030. In terms of the support that is required for OEMs, production link incentive has been mentioned, talked. I think we should look at that point very carefully. What exactly is required? When we have this volume, when we have a trajectory of bids, when we have an efficient, robust ecosystem that is already on ground, assembly shops are already there, we have 70 to 80% of localization, we should carefully put our demands about what exactly we now require. Because there will be a limited sort of funding capital that will be available to support the various kinds of industries. So I would appeal to all my colleagues here that let us carefully put our demand, and we at MNRE will take it so that we'll take it to the next level and seek approval so that the industry is supported. With onshore and offshore together now, There is a bright future for the wind industry. Let us harness the wind that blows across the Indian continent. And I'm sure when we meet every time in such events, you will see some very bright faces smiling smiling in this hall. So I would not like to take you much time, but I would first of all again like to congratulate you all for coming here, and especially those who are demonstrating their products for the Indian wind. I wish you all the best, and we at MNRE and all my state government colleagues will be happy to handhold you for your comfortable investments in India. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, sir, for your very comprehensive address with the SWOT analysis of the sector and also the futuristic vision which the government has for the sector, recharging all the stakeholders towards adding that speed and scale and build a more robust and vibrant wind energy sector for the country. We are glad to be joined by the Chairman and Managing Director of TANGEDCO. We would like to welcome Mr. Rajesh Lakhoni, and I would like to request Mr. Giri to please felicitate him with a shawl and a special token of our gratitude, appreciation with this memento. Requesting Mr. Giri also to present the memento. And ladies and gentlemen, on the days we have two inspirations who have been able to cast really impressive and massive footprints in the wind energy sector. One coming from our country, the state of Tamil Nadu, and then of course we have Denmark. So we would like to first hear from Tamil Nadu, and that is where I would like to invite Mr. Rajesh Lakhoni, who's the Chairman and Managing Director of TANGEDCO, a visionary leader who has been at the forefront of state's efforts to harness the power of wind energy for sustainable development. I request you, sir, for your address.
Dignitaries on the dais and delegates to this conference. I'd like to congratulate Mr. Giri to bringing this annual event to Tamil Nadu, because Tamil Nadu, again, wind is getting renewed focus. And if you see in the last 2-3 years, wind installations are going up. Just to refresh some memories of yours, I think Tamil Nadu started on wind in 1981, and 7 manufacturers are from Tamil Nadu. And we started banking in 1981, or when people had not understood banking at all. People thought banking is only to do with banks going and depositing your money. That time Tamil Nadu started with wind energy banking. So that's what Tamil Nadu has been pioneer, and our history to wind goes back to some 4 decades. And of late, we were the first person in the country, 10 gigawatts of wind installation. I think recently in April, Gujarat has taken over us by some few hundred megawatts, and we are very confident with our repowering policy coming soon. We will definitely be fast-tracking the wind development here. Now, one specific, I'll just like to mention 2-3 issues which are specific to Tamil Nadu. I think one important thing for wind development in Tamil Nadu is 65% of the wind development is the windmills are owned by, it's a decentralized government, held by individual industrial companies under captive consumption. Why this is important and why this is a model for emulating for other places, unlike the big, large wind farms, because this helps industry in hedging their power cost for 25 years because of the banking earlier, at least for 20 years, because the life cycle provided was 20 years for windmills. Let's say, for example, a lot of industries in foundry and high power guzzling industries, they put a windmill and they can use it for 20 years, so their power cost is fixed by the captive cost of the windmill. So that's how the Tamil Nadu decentralized development of windmill has grown, and around 65% of the windmills are owned by individual small companies for captive consumption. Out of around 10,222 megawatt, roughly 8,000 megawatt is under this category, and a few megawatts are big wind farms, and some is owned by us. And to everyone's surprise, only very few, I think around 2,000 odd megawatt is what is sell to the board. That is FIT, feed-in tariff. So the growth model here has been entirely different. It is not large wind farm, it was small wind farm owned by different companies. Now this is the model which is to be emulated all over the place instead of coming for big companies. So we are working on that direction. Now another advantage of Tamil Nadu which is extremely important for carbon neutrality is our wind availability is continuous on RTC basis for 4 months. This is a unique advantage of Tamil Nadu. Nowhere in India wind is available on RTC basis. Any other states available for 3 to 4 months. What it means is, for 4 months I am almost shutting down my coal plants and relying solely on wind. So that is how in 4 months Tamil Nadu is very green. If you know that in April, around 120 MU, that April my consumption was around 350 MU. Average 110, 120 MU, around 40% of the grid energy in Tamil Nadu consumption came from wind alone. So to that extent, wind is very important and we can re-green. Now this advantage, now the next portion of the advantage is offshore wind, because this is available for 4 months. Because of, again, the Sri Lankan landmass, the wind speeds are there. So the offshore wind, it will be available on RTC basis for 6 to 7 months. Because this is PLF is around 28 to 32%. There it will go to 40 to 48 to 50%. Why that is important? Please think of something that you are powering the grid from June to January or June to February solely on wind power. You don't have to depend on coal power at all. That's a huge potential. Maybe it is not as rosy because sometimes there are issues in forecasting and some minor adjustment is required. But with pump storage as a wind, which is on RTC basis, I think we can totally go green. And I think soon we are working on various possibilities of how we can green our total grid. More and more green energy we can put. And once that policy comes, we will be the only manufacturing state which has the maximum green power. Even now, 22% of the grid power is green power, which is highest in the country. In terms of installation capacity, other states we are third. But in terms of total energy put to the grid for the consumption, we are the highest. Now, one more issue which we are now working is, I think everywhere wind industry talks about is hybridization of solar and wind. Now, for us, hybridization is not working that great because we have advantage of an RTC wind, which is not available in other portions. For example, if you go to our adjacent state, most of the wind is available during the evening and night time. So daytime they can put solar. For us, wind is available on RTC basis from June to October. I think wind is now waning. So that slight advantage is not there. We are working on how to incentivize solar for balance 8 months so that we can use the transmission capacity. We are already working on this policy as well, and I think soon we are going to come out. Last thing is, I think most of the expected from Tamil Nadu is the repowering policy. Now, repowering policy in Tamil Nadu, we are already, I think one draft we had discussed with some associations, and we are going for further. Now, the repowering policy, again, there are two challenges which we are facing. One is a decentralized development. We don't have big wind farms. So when we do individual machines are owned by different companies which are under captive consumption. The moment you want to club all the machines and put a bigger windmill, some of the companies will lose the captive status. So they may not be interested in actually big wind development. So we are working out how do we take over that problem. The other issue was that you must be knowing banking has been, TANGEDCO has not been really great on comfortable on banking because it is costing a huge drain on our TANGEDCO's finances. But we are trying to work out and we are expecting all of us to give what are the other suggestions so that we can really work on a different modified form of banking or something else, some other incentive so that wind repowering takes off. Because now the future for wind powering is on higher up height because most of the most important wind sites have already been exhausted. So I request this, I think all the delegates to give us suggestions. You can mail it to us. And when we come out with the next draft, which we are going to come out in another 15 to 1 month, that time in that draft, if suggestions are there, we'll try to incorporate them and work out something which is more comprehensive. The last thing I'll talk about is that all manufacturers are here. We should really work on forecasting. Now, what actually forecasting is not something which is, I think we are talking about forecasting for long years. Still, we have not been able to do a sizable forecasting. Most of the time, we are dependent on international forecasters. But the way they do a forecasting on substation level. Now, forecasting requires two things. One is basically weather data, wind speed data. That is one thing. Second thing it requires is your location of windmills. I think none of our forecasts are using location of windmills because a wind speed and location of windmill is important. Third thing what we require is your wind generation curve. If you know the wind speed, you know the wind location, and if you know the generation curve, you know what exactly your machine is generating. And the last thing which is required is at one particular time, how many machines are not working. I have been working on various forecasters. I think because the big data crunching is that they say AI will take care of all these issues, but AI can take care, the data mining, data aggregation can take place if the data is correctly inputted into the system. So unless these four things are taken care, our forecasting is going to be way off, and it is what is causing a major problem in wind development. Presently, the deviations are very high. Of course, we are working with 3-4 models, and one local grown company also has done a reasonable good forecast. So I'll request all of you, even wind manufacturers, to work on some forecasting methods based on these things. This will vary from the state to state, but that will become a major driving force for wind in Tamil Nadu. With all this request, I welcome all the manufacturers to come with suggestions. We are open to all the suggestions, and we can definitely, we are working on various policy. All your suggestions will definitely be useful to us to put up a policy which will be useful to us and bringing Tamil Nadu again to numero uno position in wind development. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for reflecting on the successful model of Tamil Nadu. And another personality who has been at the helm of this very inspiring and impressive journey of Tamil Nadu is Mr. Hansraj Verma, the Chairman and Managing Director of Tamil Nadu Industrial Investment Corporation Limited and of Tamil Nadu Energy Development Agency. I invite him for his address.
The chief guest, His Excellency, the Ambassador of Denmark to India, my colleague in the Tamil Nadu bureaucracy, CMD TANGEDCO, Joint Secretary MNRE, Mr. Giri, Mr. Murli, and distinguished delegates. This event kicked off yesterday with a very, very nostalgic event, 25 years of wind power. For any organization, a sign of its greatness is its ability to honor its heroes and pioneers. And yesterday, ILMTA honored the pioneers. To name a few, Mr. Ayadurai from TNEB, Pramod Dev, Ramesh Kaimal, Ramesh, Madam Mani, to name a few. Now the next generation will take over, and being inspired by the work of the pioneers and the heroes, this sector in safe hands. Friends, I will speak about a few strategic imperatives which we all must face collectively on a partnership model. First, the twin guiding principles for all of us are the clarion call of the Honorable Prime Minister of India to make India self-reliant, Atmanirbhar, make in India. And for Tamil Nadu, the clarion call of our Honorable Chief Minister to make Tamil Nadu economy a $1 trillion economy by 2030. Now these two objectives will be powered by manufacturing. The geopolitical context today, the demographic dividend of India, the various variables in favor of India, all point that this is India's century. India is well poised to be the manufacturing hub of the world. But there are a few issues. Today, manufacturing is only 17% of the GDP. For any developed nation, it should be minimum 25%. Plans are there, effort afford to make this to 30%. Now in manufacturing, there are a few challenges, few trends emerging on the world scenario. First is the CBAM, cross-border adjustment mechanism of European Union. Second is our own internal regulations of the market regulator, SEBI, the business regulation, sustainability regulation standards and core for the ESG frameworks. Third is the accounting standards of the World Sustainability Council, Scope 1, Scope 2, Scope 3. Now these all will have a bearing on the competitiveness of Indian manufacturing. It is here green manufacturing, which is India's strength, will come into play. In days to come, any nation that has to be competitive on the world stage will need maximum component of green energy in their manufacturing. This is where the wind energy comes into play. I represent two organizations, the Tamil Nadu Industrial Investment Corporation, which invested in the MSME sector for manufacturing, and the Tamil Nadu Energy Development Agency. So this is the intersection point for both the energy, the wind power industry and the manufacturing. Wind power manufacturers, you are not selling or marketing your turbines to the industry. You are marketing sustainability. You are marketing competitiveness on the world stage to them. So it is with this perspective we have to approach the industry for partnerships. MSMEs are the key of the Tamil Nadu economy, Indian economy. They're the key backbone. And Tamil Nadu economy is always the growth engine of Indian economy. Recently, as Mr. Giri was mentioning, we have signed an MOU with WTA for the MSMEs for promoting consumption of green power in the MSMEs, because the MSMEs are the very crucial link in the global supply chains. They are the key partners and suppliers to majority of the OEMs and the industries. So it is imperative on all of us to look at the needs of the MSMEs, partner with them and make them strong. A strong MSME base, a strong MSME ecosystem augurs very, very well for India's industrial development and growth. Friends, manufacturing also has got one more dimension. India as a young nation, our average is 31 years. The youth is aspirational, the youth is ambitious. It is only manufacturing that will create those jobs for the youth that meet their aspirations, meet their career trajectories. So the timing is right, India is in the right position, we are at the inflection point of positioning Indian manufacturing on the world stage. Friends, today morning during the inauguration, the chief guest, His Excellency, mentioned two words, Chennai is the place. So let me use this platform to mention a few key differentiators of Tamil Nadu. We are hosting our Global Investors Meet in January 7th and 8th. Now, what are the key differentiators of Tamil Nadu? As CMD TANGEDCO was mentioning, this state is best positioned to provide round-the-clock RTC power to the industries, green power. That's a very, very key advantage. Also, the state is best positioned to enable your ESG compliance issues. Tamil Nadu is just not Chennai. Tamil Nadu has got the biggest urban industrial clusters spread throughout the state, about 25 of them. All are growth engines of the Tamil economy. So manufacturing is spread across the state. Next key competitive advantage of Tamil Nadu is the DIE index, diversity, equity, and inclusiveness. We have the maximum participation of women in the workforce, in the industrial workforce. Recently, I had a meeting with the Tata Power CEO. They are setting up a 41 gigawatt solar module manufacturing plant in Gangaipondam in southern Tamil Nadu. And he mentioned that the entire workforce is going to be women. This is the power of Tamil Nadu. The throughput per employee is the highest in Tamil Nadu. And in particular, it is powered by women ability. So friends, these are some of the few advantages. I thought I'll use this platform to show all of you the position Tamil Nadu's key differentiation. Friends, in conclusion, it's all about partnerships. All stakeholders, let's come together in synergy. Let's come on partnership platform. And then, as your tagline goes, win forever. Future-proofing the industry's future, future-proofing the nation's progress. Let's partner, and may the wind be beneath our wings and power us forever and forever. Thank you and good day.
Thank you, sir. And as you mentioned, manufacturing is the way forward, focusing on that and building more robust and vibrant and globally competitive MSME sector. That's going to be propelling the growth of the wind energy. And Tamil Nadu is the preferred destination for that. And now, ladies and gentlemen, moving to our global inspiration, Denmark. A very inspiring journey which they have had. If we just reflect on that, Denmark was a pioneer in developing commercial wind power during the 1970s. In 2017, according to the World Economic Forum, they had the 4th best energy architecture performance in the world, the 2nd best energy security in the world in 2019, according to the World Energy Council. And today, a substantial share of the wind turbines around the world are produced by Danish manufacturers. In the first half of 2023, wind turbines and solar panels in Denmark generated record amount of electricity, accounting almost for 67% of the country's energy demand, coming from the renewables, and they're going very strong, delivering to their government's target of 100% renewable power generation by 2030. Today, Denmark has the world's best energy system. For 3 years in a row, Denmark has topped the World Energy Trilemma Index published by the World Energy Council. The index rewards Denmark for the top energy security measured by effective management of energy supply, reliability of energy, and the ability to meet the current and the future demand. So it's going to be very interesting and enriching to know how Denmark has been able to achieve what we are talking about today. And then Denmark is also a crucial ally of India. They are our green strategic partner. And as our Honorable Prime Minister had mentioned, Denmark has the skills, India has the scale, and the world needs these technologies. So as we collaborate, as we work together, I now invite our distinguished chief guest, His Excellency Freddy Svan, for his inaugural address.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's like coming back to one's own home, because when I toured the exhibition area, there were so many Danish companies. Every time I'm coming to Chennai, and Verma, that's right, Chennai is the best place, but anyhow, when I come to Chennai, I see tons of Danish companies operating down here. And when it comes to the wind industry, many of our sub-suppliers, they have moved to Tamil Nadu. So the global supply chain is in fact intact here in that part of the world. But coming back a little bit to why are we a success? And you can rightly ask, how can 6 million people become such a great success? Yes, it's a good question. But in fact, we were forced to really rethink the whole energy structure in Denmark. When we suddenly 100% dependent on fossil fuel, in the beginning of the 1970s, our friends in the Middle East, they shut down all supplies. Then we were left without any kind of energy. So at that time, 3 important stakeholders came together, namely a visionary government, very innovative innovators, and a very strong, dedicated, action-oriented industry. And therefore, I'm extremely happy. Oh, Mr. Giri, you should listen carefully, because now I'm taking you through the history of Denmark on the wind side. Denmark started not with big companies. We started with small, medium-sized enterprises. It was small companies who started really reinventing a very old-fashioned technology, namely windmills. And that became, as you rightly said, ma'am, it became a very, very important business, a global business. Today, it's a double-digit US billion-dollar industry across the world with millions of jobs, millions of jobs. There are two areas where Denmark really we are punching upon our weight, not my weight because that has to go down, but anyhow, but Denmark as such, that's shipping and the wind industry. And I'm happy that those two industries are forming the core of our relationship with India, because that's the way forward. When I recall my first visit ever to India back in 2010, I went to CVIT, today Never, to get an idea how that came into the making. And it was a very rudimentary kind of collaboration where we are trying to bring our experiences to the Indian side. And we managed. We managed because we believed in India, we believed in our partners here. And may I just in a parenthesis mention that I'm happy that we have no politicians here today, because they are only talking, they are not taking too many actions. It's not only about Indian politicians, it's also Danish politicians. They will only talk about good words, good statements, and so forth. And fine, we need that. But I'm also very happy, and I'm punching on my friend Dinesh Jagdal, the Honorable Joint Secretary, each and every day, because he has to be pushed. All bureaucrats have to be pushed. And I'm so happy to listen to what Jagdal has said today and also yesterday. He's really moving, and India is moving. And that's where we like to catch up. We need action. We need no more words, because they have been spoken at length. So action is called for. And the industry people sitting down there, all of you, you are the most important people, because this industry cannot really move without the industry people being on board. You have to make the changes. You have to make the decisions and so forth. As is rightly was said, there are too many things that could be better in the world and in India. But it's for the industry to push for these changes. And only through that and this kind of interaction, you will see changes, and changes that we will need. India and your Honorable Prime Minister has put up huge ambitions when it comes to the energy transition. And I recall when your Honorable Prime Minister at the COP26 in Glasgow came out with huge announcements as to renewables. I think a lot of the bureaucrats and many others in India and across the world got a little bit shocked. How could the Honorable Prime Minister of India come with that kind of, let's say, objectives and ambitions? But he did, and it's a driver. And that's the role of politicians. They have to be drivers. They have to drive you crazy, me crazy, and the nations crazy. And they're doing that for the good purpose and the good sake. But we also need really to bring order in our own house. And I have praised Tamil Nadu, I've praised Chennai many times, Mr. Verma. But things take too long. So if you really want the energy transition, you have to work fast and furiously. And I tell you, we spent so many years, and ma'am spoke about early 1970s, it took a long time. But today we are there where we have to be. And India, we know that you have wind. Early on, I heard a lot of people saying, oh, the wind patterns in India are not good enough. It's not the energy source that we are looking for. I don't think I can meet any important, and you have many, important industry leaders in India who are not banging for the wind as one of the energy sources. So I'm pretty sure that if you can put your acts together, you'll see India becoming a global hub, and you deserve that. There's no way around scalability, and if we want to make manufacturing really the big thing in India, you need to bring your house in order, and that comes, of course, but you also need to secure that you have the right environment, the kind of ecosystem in place. Denmark has stretched out our lovely hands to you, and therefore I'm also a little bit proud today that Eske, please stand up, our Consul General in Bangalore. Tonight he will be launching a wind alliance for India. And we hope that this will really push the agenda big time ahead. It's not to make it unique for Danish companies, but it's for really to create a winning stretch. And you should join, all of you, if you want to be on the right side of the fence, namely the winning team. It's like in cricket. We are good batters and spinners and all that, and we will win every time. And therefore, it's also important that you build up these joint ventures with Danish companies. I mean, we came here many years ago in small scale. Now we are here in big scale, and we would really like to stretch our hands out to you. So therefore, it's not kind of marketing trip this, but I would like all the Danish companies and the representatives from Denmark to stand up. Yes, come on. There must be many more. Come on. I think you all should feel like being Danes, so you should stand up, all of you, if you believe in wind. No, sit down. Thank you very much indeed. Wind power is a way forward, and you can harness wind, whether it's onshore, offshore, or nearshore. I don't care, as long as you can really harness all these things, and you have to. The dream of green hydrogen will not really be realized without sufficient power. And it's not sufficient with solar, it's not sufficient with wind, it's not sufficient with hydropower. There are a lot of things that have to be put in place, but I'm sure you can do it. And Denmark would like to be on the winning stretch with you. And therefore, I do hope that next time our two prime ministers will have an interaction, they will take our green strategic partnership to the next level. India has a lot of wind power, but you have, more importantly, also the power to win. And that's my last words. India has the power to win. And we would like to be with you, all of us, all of the Danish companies, because India would be the global hub for global wind industry. You deserve it, we deserve it. Without you, we will be lost. So let's remember tripling of the renewable energy, 2030, doubling of energy efficiency, and let's make Mother Earth the winner by doing all these things in a concerted action. Dhanyavad, good luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency, for your very inspiring address and taking us through this remarkable journey of Denmark, how you saw an opportunity in the difficulty, as we say, aapda mein afsar aapne dekha, and concentrating on small and then painting the big picture. And today Denmark stands as a shining example for the world. As you mentioned, it's going to be the will, the collaborations, and fueling from all shores, which is going to be taking us, and India definitely has the power to win, and all of us collaborating towards making our Mother Earth smile. Thank you. Very inspiring. So with that optimistic note, as we come to the closure of this inaugural session, I would like to request Mr. S.V. Murali, the General Manager, ZF, and the Executive Committee member of IWTMA, to kindly propose a formal vote of thanks.
Thank you, Umi. Vanakkam. Honorable dignitaries on the dais, His Excellency Freddy Swain, Danish Ambassador, and Mr. Hansraj Verma, IAS, MD of TIC, and Mr. Rajesh Lakhoni, CMD of TANGEDCO, Giri, and dignitaries of the dais, business leaders and policymakers and visitors, delegates who have come. Good morning to you all. As the proverb says, a job started well is a half success, and we have started this inaugural session with a good success, and we hope to make this Windergy 2023 a grand success in next 2-3 days with a good business interactions as well as good policy discussions in the coming days, and let's hope for a good start to achieve the targets in 2030 for the wind sector in India as well as the net zero. With this note, on behalf of IWTMA and PDA, we would like to thank all the business partners and exhibitors and the visitors, delegates who have come here. Thank you very much, all of you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. And we close the session with a group photograph of our dignitaries on the dais, thanking everyone also for being a part of the inaugural session, which has given us a direction and, yes, a lot of food for thought and action as we take our technical sessions. We are going to be taking a very small break of 10 minutes just to set the stage. Tea is of course there, but request you to be back after 10 minutes so that we start with the next session. This is, the next session is a tribute to the windman of India, Mr. Tulsi Tanti. This is a Tulsi Tanti memorial session which we'll start with, and we have our distinguished speakers, Mr. Girish Tanti, Mr. Sumant Sinha and Mr. Vipul Tuli, who are going to be addressing us in that session. Just a very short break, ladies and gentlemen, of 10 minutes. We are running